Really cold, so we hopped back on again.
Which door did you use?
The one closest to here?
Do you remember if the door you used was bolted?
Yes, I seem to remember it was. At least there was a kind of bar that fitted across the handle.
Did you replace the bar when you returned to the train?
You know, I don't think I did. I remember now. I left it unbolted for you. Say, listen, since we know that Ratchet was really that swine Cassetti, there's something you should know.
Yes?
One night, late, after he'd received those threatening letters, I heard him working at my typewriter. He never did that. He always dictated his letters to me. From then on, wherever we were, he insisted on access to the safe. Whatever that document was, it was important enough that he traveled with it wherever we went. If there wasn't a safe available, he had one installed. I know for a fact he had one installed in the security room in the baggage car. I saw it when we were loading his crate.
Do you have the combination?
If he didn't trust me to type it for him, you really think he'd give me the combination?
Au revoir, monsieur. Nothing of interest here.
Yes, Fräulein.
Frau Schmidt, I am helping Monsieur Poirot in the investigation of Monsieur Ratchet's death. Will you assist me?
If I can.
May I have your passport?
Ja, here it is.
You are Hildegard Schmidt, aged 43, living in St. Petersburg?
Where I attend Madame la Princesse, ja.
What can you tell me of your movements last night after dinner?
I moved very little. I read to the Princess Bleak House by the English writer Charles Dickens. The sudden stopping of the train interrupted us. Madame la Princesse luckily was not harmed. I returned to reading. I do not read aloud very well, but Her Excellency says that it is all the better. So it sends her better to sleep. When she became sleepy, she told me to go. I returned to the compartment I share with Fräulein Debenham.
What time was that?
It was very late. 1:30 or more.
Tell me about Mary Debenham.
She is a very agreeable young lady. She was already asleep when I came in after reading to Her Excellency.
What color is Mademoiselle Debenham's dressing gown?
It is a pale purple. Mauve, I believe the English say.
Did Mademoiselle Debenham leave the room at all last night?
Not after I returned. I sleep lightly, Fräulein. You understand? Should Her Excellency require me.
Have you ever been to America?
No, never. I should like to go someday.
Do you know who this man Ratchet really was?
He was not Ratchet?
His name was Cassetti. He was responsible for the death of a small child named Daisy Armstrong.
My God! I have heard of that. The kidnapping. It was wicked. Wicked! We are not so wicked as that in Germany.
Is this your handkerchief, Frau Schmidt?
No, it is not mine.
It has the letter H, you see.
Ah, but it is a lady's handkerchief, that. A very expensive cambric handkerchief, embroidered by hand. It comes from Paris, I should say.
Did you see anyone as you returned to your compartment?
Only an attendant.
He was sitting at the end of the corridor.
No, Fräulein. He came out of one of the compartments in the middle. 2 or 3 doors from Madame la Princesse.
Was it Mrs. Hubbard's compartment?
It may have been.
But I saw him come out. You weren't in the corridor.
I most certainly was. He nearly ran into me, apologized, and hurried off in the direction of the salon car. A bell began ringing, but I do not think he answered it.
Then the bell started ringing?
Yes, Fräulein.
The attendant was Michel.
Our regular attendant. No, Fräulein.
What? What did he look like?
Small, dark, he had a little mustache. His voice, when he said, "Pardon," was weak and high-pitched, higher than mine. I'd never seen him before.
Good day to you, mademoiselle.
Hello, miss. There is more snow coming, I think.
Greta, you know Monsieur Poirot has asked me to help him investigate the murder.
Yeah, I have heard this. It is satisfactory with you?
Very. Will you help me?
I will try.
May I have your passport, please?
It is here.
Greta Sigrid Olsen, 49, of Stockholm.
Of course, I am a missionary now, nurse at the school in Gemlik, and not much in Sweden.
You gave Mrs. Hubbard a headache powder last night.
Yeah, poor lady with the pain in the head.
That was around 10:40, I believe.
I am not sure.
Did you leave this compartment again after helping Monsieur Poirot?
His ankle is not so very injured, you know. I looked at it again this morning. I think he is not as brave as some of my little children.
After Monsieur Poirot.
I woke several times, of course, but it is because you were peeking out and leaving the compartment, not I.
After that?
When you finally settled down. No, I was very tired from all the activity. I slept. If I had gone out, would you not have noticed?
I'm not sure. You were here in the lower berth.
I slept until the morning. I slept soundly enough that you might have gone out again. I do not know about that, but I myself was sleeping.
Your dressing gown is brown, is it not?
Yeah, you have seen it for yourself. Very comfortable, of Jaeger wool.
Did you see anyone in the corridor when you took Mrs. Hubbard the medicine?
Not in the corridor, no.
Somewhere else?
I opened the door to the dead man's compartment by mistake. Mr. Ratchet. I was much ashamed.
What did you and Mrs. Hubbard talk about?
The pain in her head. It started at the back and sweep itself forward over her eyes and...
Anything else?
She asked me if the door between her compartment and Mr. Ratchet's is locked. I check it for her.
And?
It is locked.
Did you actually see him?
Yeah, in his bed he was, reading a book.
Did he say anything to you?
He laughed. He invited me. I do not care to repeat what he said. It inflamed my cheeks. I left at once naturally and went into Mrs. Hubbard.
That means you were the last person to see Monsieur Ratchet alive.
I am suspected of all the people aboard the train. I am suspected.
Have you ever been in America?
No. Almost I go once. I was to accompany an invalid lady, but it was cancelled. I much regret it. They are very generous, the Americans. They give much money to schools and hospitals, and they are very practical.
Do you remember hearing of the Armstrong kidnapping case?
No. What was that?
A little girl was kidnapped and murdered. Her mother and an unborn child died in childbirth. A member of the staff committed suicide. Monsieur Ratchet was the man behind the kidnapping.
That there are in the world such evil men. It tries one's faith. The poor mother, my heart aches for her.
Good day to you, mademoiselle.
Regardez, mademoiselle.
I won't find... I've already searched it thoroughly.
Well, it's about time, I must say. Here I am with information that will solve your mystery for you, and it's hours before you show up. You aren't helping that famous detective, or whatever he is, aren't you?
Yes, madam, I have that honor.
I would think you'd be more on your toes. In America, the police would have arrested the culprit by now on my evidence.
Then let us proceed without delay. May I have your passport, please?
My passport? What do you want my passport for? I'm the witness, not the murderer. What is wrong with you people in this country?
This is Yugoslavia, madam. I am French.
That's what I said.
Your passport. Thank you. You are Caroline Martha Hubbard of Great Neck, is it? Long Island?
That's what it says, doesn't it?
You are traveling to Paris to meet your daughter?
Yes, that I'm supposed to sail for home the day after tomorrow. Though, how can I do that stuck here? I'll never know.
Did you hear any sounds coming from Monsieur Ratchet's room?
Well, earlier I'd asked that Swedish lady, Mrs. Olson, if she had anything for a headache. She's a nurse, you know.
Yes, I know.
Poor soul. Looking for my room, she'd opened the door to Mr. Ratchet's compartment by mistake. He laughed and said something not very nice, I think. But I couldn't make it out. She said, "Oh, I make a mistake. I ashamed to make a mistake," in that bizarre accent of hers. And he laughed again and said something about her being too old. The idea! My late husband, Mr. Hubbard, and I enjoyed conjugal relations right up to the very end.
Anything else?
After that, I heard snoring. Quite loud, like an airplane engine revving up.
What color is your dressing gown?
What an odd question. I have 2 dressing gowns, if you must know. A pink flannel that's kind of cozy on board ship, and a purple silk number that my late husband, Mr. Hubbard, gave me. But what in creation do you want to know that for?
Someone in a scarlet kimono was seen coming out of either your compartment or Monsieur Ratchet's. It is very difficult to tell sometimes which is which when all the doors are closed.
Well, it wasn't mine.
Then it must have been Monsieur Ratchet's.
That wouldn't surprise me any. I thought I heard a voice in there.
Was it a woman you heard in Monsieur Ratchet's room?
Yes, I think it was.
Did you hear what was said?
Well, I didn't put a glass up to the connecting door and eavesdrop, for heaven's sakes. What sort of a person do you think I am?
When was it you heard this voice?
I have no idea. Sometime after the snoring died.
Was it before or after the train stopped?
After. After the man in my room that you have so far failed to ask me about. I woke up, heard the voice, and that was that.
Tell me about the man you thought was in your room.
At last. No offense intended, sweetie, but you foreigners do just about everything backwards.
The man?
Well, I was in bed. I woke up. All in the dark it was. And I knew, I tell you, that there was a man in there with me.
In your bed?
In my what? How dare you? No, in my compartment. I was just so scared I couldn't scream. I just lay there and thought, mercy, I'm going to be killed by some foreigner. These nasty trains. I just lay there with my eyes closed and thought of America. Somehow I got my wits about me and I felt about with my hand and I felt.
Yes?
The bell button. I pressed it and pressed, but no one came. I thought, mercy, what if they'd murdered every single soul on the train? I went on pressing the bell.